Hi everyone, and welcome to the Cancer July 2021 self-connection reading. So this is I Am Illuminated Tarot and meaning-based spiritual coaching services. I am Lauren. Welcome. This video is one of 3 that I will be completing each month for each sign that is based around connection between 3 aspects of your experience. Connection to self, connection to partnerships, which is your connection to others, and connection to spirit, which is connecting your unique, authentic self to your external environment. Now, each one of these videos is going to work with the Triad of Engagement, which is a counseling tool that I have developed that shows how working with the 3 very basic principles of curiosity, courage, and contemplation can really help unlock self-awareness and awareness of your unique individual spiritual self, and be able to then engage that authentically with your external environment, which includes other people, to be able to help you feel more of a sense of purpose and place, to be able to actually see and create meaning for yourself. And in addition to that, to be able to become an experience, to be able to become emotionally fulfilled and experience what comes with emotional fulfillment, which is the sense of happiness and peace and purpose and flow. All right, Cancers, so let's get right into your reading. Now, we are focusing on your connection to self. So when we're thinking about that, I am going to pull a Power of Surrender card, and we're going to take a look at the first principle of curiosity. Now, curiosity is a card that is about optimistically opening yourself up to something. So whether this is to your external environment or to your internal environment. So in this reading, we're actually using curiosity to open ourselves up to who we are internally. Now, curiosity, oftentimes, as we get older, we can lose that sense of childlike wonder and awe towards whatever we're taking a look at and using curiosity and applying it towards. So this is about tapping back into that, to removing all of the negative elements of curiosity where we block ourselves off from actually benefiting from being curious. And those negative elements can be things like where we, instead of being optimistic and open, we shut ourselves down right off the bat and say, well, I know how this is going to end up. Especially when we're looking internally at ourselves, this is where we can get defensive. It's where we can tell ourselves we don't want to go there because an aspect of our internal self is not healed. But we always need to be curious. We always need to be open. There's so much to ourselves that is meant to be utilized and unlocked and can not only be of service to the external collective experience, but also that helps us that's meant to bring us that sense of emotional fulfillment, that in being able to be aware of certain aspects of ourselves and to bring those into awareness in our external environment, that we get a chance to feel like we get to be ourselves. And that's a beautiful concept. So you have 3 cards. Oh, Cancer. I thought I was going to squeeze in your reading, but instead it looks like this is going to be a longer one. So we have Surrender Your Ego. And it says, cultivate gratitude, be of service to others, and come from your heart. A big ego can work against you, but humility will further your goals. We have Surrender Procrastination. And it says, now is the time to jump on a goal instead of putting it off. Taking action will attract success. And it says, surrender to silence. It says, in a quiet meditation or contemplation, let go and enter the stillness within. Silence can heal and replenish you. So right off the bat, I'm getting this sense of when we're thinking about being curious and we're bringing this light of curiosity inward to ourselves, I'm really looking at surrender to procrastination as being at the heart of this whole element of curiosity. This is kind of setting the tone for the month of July as far as being curious about yourself. So surrender procrastination. Procrastination to me can mean one of two things. It can literally just be you being stubborn, not wanting to do something. Or procrastination in its actual positive form can be showing you, highlighting an aspect of self that, or an aspect of your experience that is really not in alignment with you, which is why you keep kind of putting it off. So when we find ourselves prioritizing out of all these different tasks, for constantly prioritizing away from something, generally that means that something is being highlighted. It means that either A, this something over here is no longer in alignment with us, which is why we don't want to do it, or B, it's challenging us to face this and actually take this on because it's going to unlock a part of ourselves. So this is where, when we're thinking about what it says here, it says, now is the time to jump on a goal instead of putting it off. Taking action will attract success. This month for curiosity, instead of looking at it as where is procrastination perhaps shining a light on something that needs to be released, this is shining a light on being curious within yourself. What part of yourself have you been pushing down? Have you not been prioritizing? And when I say prioritizing, I mean, what part of yourself have you been trying to distract yourself away from? And this can be where we literally get into and I know because I could be guilty of this, where we're like, you know what, I'm going to do anything else but let's say there's a part of yourself that you've become aware of that you really want to pursue. Let's say this part of yourself is writing, and you wanted to set aside some time for yourself every day for journaling. But every time it gets to that point where you're like, okay, I'm going to go up and I'm going to do my journaling, instead you're like, you know what? Wow, the kitchen counter is really messy today. I am going to organize the kitchen counter instead because that's more important. Or let's say you've given yourself a health-related goal, because when we're talking about connection to self, that's not just our internal self. That involves our physical body as well, because our physical body is directly tied to our emotional and mental experience. Let's say you gave yourself a goal of getting back into shape, and you signed up for a gym and you put money towards it. And okay, you said you were going to get up and go every day at 7 a.m., but every day at 7 a.m., something else comes up. Oh, I have to sleep in because I was feeling a little exhausted from the night before. Or my job, it's more important for me to answer, these 10 emails now because I know that these people are active at this time than for me to go to the gym. Or, I really have to prioritize getting my family fed and off to school. Well, what you're showing yourself there is that there is a part of yourself you deemed as important, that you deemed in this direct connection to self as needing, as some aspect of your need, your unique self needed to be met. And now you are trying to avoid it. So the question with curiosity is, why are you avoiding it? Where is that coming from? Now, what I'm seeing here is surrender your ego and surrender to silence. A part of me is intuitively picking up that you're running away from this aspect of yourself because of this. Now, ego is not a bad thing. I think it gets a bad rap. Ego is our sense of self. And ego is actually when I think about it, I directly tie it back to our solar plexus chakra and the sense of self, who we are and how we radiate and emanate that. And oftentimes we can get tied up in, actually, it's kind of like almost counterintuitive, where we think, okay, we want to be seen, we signed up for the gym to get ourselves back in shape because our ego is telling us that we want to be seen as this more fit person. Maybe we gained the COVID 20 pounds and we want to, get ourselves back out there again. But where this can become a block is that we don't want to fail at something. Like if we don't start something, we can't fail at it, right? So let's say we gave ourselves the goal of getting, losing 20 pounds. Well, if we don't ever start it, we really don't ever have to face our ego of failing because we never started it. We never actually did it. Where let's say we do go to the gym and we realize that, we've been going for 3 months now and we have nothing to show for it. So when somebody's like, oh, you've been going to the gym? How cool. So like, what's happened? Have you lost any weight? And you're like, no. And in reality, what I'm seeing here is like this is where we can get into this dangerous place where we really lose connection with self, where we need to pay attention to some aspect, some area of self that needs to have that attention shown on it, which is why we've actually taken some type of action towards it already, but where we decide that we don't want to put it out there. We don't want to either look like a failure to ourselves, look like a failure to others, or we are trying to come from a place of ego. So maybe, like if we're bringing this back to journaling, maybe there's this aspect of, well, I don't want to tell my family that I'm putting aside time to journal every day because they might critique it, or they might think this is actually where it can kind of be like, again, like the reverse side of this, where it's like, well, I don't want them to see me as being selfish for taking up this time to myself to write because, I'm not a great writer. Or they might make fun of me for like, oh, well, what are you doing? Are you writing your like novel? Ooh, like that kind of thing. And you can say like, I don't want to look like I'm being selfish. I don't want to look like I'm coming from a place of ego or that I'm trying to overinflate my ability to write. When in reality, you have to honor who you are and what your needs are at the time. So if you felt compelled to write and you felt compelled to build in this time to start journaling and reconnect with this part of yourself, it's time to honor it. And it's time to realize what I love about this ego card is that it brings up this element of cultivate gratitude, be of service to others, and come from your heart. And this is really where we can overcome that fear point of either looking like you're being afraid of looking like you're coming from a place of ego to other people. Oh wow, she's the gym rat now. She's trying to get in shape. She's going to look better than I am, or overcoming that sense of not wanting to fail at something. So where you don't even start because you don't want it to be a wounding to your ego. Well, you're being told right now to be curious about opening yourself back up to that part of yourself and refocusing on it, because there is an element that it is going to be of service. And it's going to be of service coming from a place of you authentically expressing a part of yourself. So when we think about curiosity, we are thinking about optimistic receptivity to the awe and wonder of life. We don't know where, by focusing on this aspect of self that we want to, but we've been procrastinating on, we don't know where this is going to lead. Maybe by just you penciling in an element of, maybe 30 minutes every other day of journaling, you don't know if this is going to unlock a long lost passion for writing and all of a sudden you're going to have a book concept come to you, or if this is simply just to start having a connective time between you and yourself. And journaling is just the medium for you to be able to become more self-aware about some other aspect of self. This is the gateway for you to be able to deepen that connection between just you and your truly unique spiritual self. Same thing with going to the gym. You don't know if this is going to just make you feel better so that you get a chance to be a more energized version of yourself to be of service to others in that capacity. Or if by going back to the gym, you start to realize that like, this is something you love to do. You love being at the gym. You love working out. You love the environment. Maybe this is going to open up a whole new aspect of self that you realize, I want to work with people in this capacity, or I have a passion around nutrition that gets unlocked through going to the gym. You don't know. And so this is why we have to follow these instincts that we have, these elements of self, because each time we follow one, we open up another aspect, another avenue of finding place and purpose in our external environment. And then we have here surrender to silence. So there is this quality here about kind of, and Cancer, I've been doing a lot of readings, and for Cancer specifically, there seems to be this continual message for Cancer, both Cancer and Leo. You guys seem to be kind of going through the same messages. Don't get external advice. It's almost like go inside, focus on your intuition, focus on yourself, and make the decision from there to move forward. So when we're talking about a connection of self, I think sometimes Cancer, you guys can be such an open, you're an emotional based sign. And you're also the sign that rules the 4th house, and which is home and family. So there's this element of like, you're always connected with others. And that connection can then lend to you asking advice from others or sharing your ideas with others. And sometimes you need to go back to your other superpower, which is your intuition, your direct connection to spirit. And I think this is one of those times where you're being asked to come within, reconnect to confidence in self. When we're talking about curiosity, maybe it's been a while since you had that meditative, contemplative time with yourself. And so this is where, by building that in and actually being curious about what is that going to open up for me, or being curious as to a lot of times we can become reliant on other people's opinions, other people's advice, other people's, when we're thinking about coming from an ego place, other people's viewpoints of what we do. And this is really asking you to be curious about, what if I just went on my own intuition? What if I just started working on what I want to work on? And what if, instead of worrying about what if I fail, and instead of worrying about the negative worries, the negative elements that come from a sense of ego, what if I fail? What if I look like a failure to others? How are others going to perceive me taking action on something? I mean, this could even be you having maybe pushed aside some long ago project. Maybe you were working on a book, 15 years ago, and all of a sudden you start working on it again, and you're like, God, what are people going to think about that? Who cares? It's about tapping into the fact that it's coming up now because it's meant to be of service. It's meant to emotionally fulfill some aspect of yourself. So this is kind of the opening, the opening element to self-awareness this month. The question is, what part of yourself have you been not focusing on, knowing full well that you need to focus on it? And where can you push aside ego and just rely on self and your direct confidence and knowledge, and that you are a singular, unique being, and that it's time for you to focus on that. And it's time for you to prioritize it. Okay, so now for courage. Courage is where we get a chance to step into our seat of personal power. It's where we get to take the courage to make the decision to take action. And this is where we step into, again, our seat of control. We can't control our external environment, but we can control our internal environment. We can control our perspective. We can control how we choose to react and take action. And so when we're bringing this inward focus, this is about really uncovering parts of ourself and becoming aware of basically becoming aware, but making empowered and aware decisions. So when we're making even the smallest decisions throughout our day and throughout the month, how are we connecting that to some aspect, some authentic aspect of self? And this can be as small as, making the choice to get up an hour early or not. And by getting up that extra hour early, you get a chance to authentically do something for yourself. Or by staying in bed and getting an extra hour of sleep, you're honoring your need for sleep. So this is where every decision we make is basically, if when we say yes to something, we're saying no to something else. When we're saying no to something, we're saying yes to something else. But this is also where we get a chance to start to become more aware of our engagement, our authentic engagement with life. So if you're constantly feeling tired and you need that extra hour of sleep, but you're constantly prioritizing then you're not authentically engaging. That's why you're not feeling in flow. That's why you're feeling exhausted. So bringing that awareness back to, I really do need sleep, and I'm going to prioritize. I'm going to make the decision between saying yes to an extra hour of sleep and saying no to answering 10 emails, or no to getting up and making breakfast for the family. Instead, I'm going to make the box lunches the night before, and I'm going to rely on my significant other to get up and make the breakfast. Or I'm going to just rely on the fact that my kids are old enough and they can somehow make it for themselves. All right, so we have, from a place of courageous action, we have eagle spirit. Love this card. Barely ever comes out too for me. So spirit has your back. Love this. So I think this really just taps into the core of, when I look at curiosity, the concept of curiosity is about tapping into the awe and wonder of life, the unknown capability, the unknown possibilities. Courage is about tapping into faith, that we are choosing to find the courage to take the action on faith that it will have a positive outcome. And this is right here just really stating that spirit has your back. That's why you don't need to have anybody else tell you what to do. You can just go within, tap back into that sense of your direct connection to spirit, and know that what you want to take action towards, what you've been procrastinating on, what you've been worried about, is what is actually part of the divine plan. So we always have this element of free will with destiny. So destiny is basically our external environments, everything outside of our control. Free will is where courage comes into place. This is where we get a chance to take action with destiny, where we get to engage. So, for instance, if you are procrastinating on, let's say, going back to the gym and losing 20 pounds, and you decide, you can make the decision to not do that. You could feel the need to do it. You can start to take the little actions like sign up for a gym and do all of that. And then you can just not do it. And and let's say the part of the bigger design of this plan is that you do uncover this intense passion for nutrition, and you get the chance to see the transformation of your own body and realize, I want to share this power with others, this knowledge with others. And you miss out on that part of what destiny is trying to bring in for you, simply because you chose not to take free will and action towards it. So this is really where courage comes from, kind of being reminded of this month, is spirit has your back. Actually reminds me of a card in the next deck I'm going to use, where it's kind of like, if you could do anything, what would you do? And that's kind of where I think the energy is falling on you, Cancer, is to unlock that element of yourself, that part of yourself you've been wanting to tap into, and just from a place of probably fear and of blocking, of like, that didn't work out last time, or I don't want to get criticized there. That's a really highly vulnerable part of myself. What part of yourself do you need to follow and take action knowing that Spirit is there with you? Spirit is saying, it's okay. I'm here. You're meant to take action, and you're meant to take action now. Again, this first card of the surrender procrastination is saying the time is now. Okay, so now we're going to pull a card for contemplation. And contemplation is the last principle in the Triad of Engagement because it focuses on integration and connection. So when we think about contemplation, contemplation is where we get a chance to connect what we were curious about with where we took action and the consequence that ensued, or the reaction that happened. And this is where we then get to integrate that lesson learned back into our lives, and we get to start the process all over again. So for contemplation, we have 2 cards. We have play. It says, have fun, celebrate, don't be so serious. And then the second card is Pillar of Light, and it says, your vibration is rising, you are the oracle. I love these 2 cards together because it's kind of funny because you think like one is like, play, have fun, it's a girl in a champagne cup. And this one is like so much more serious. Your vibration is rising, you are the oracle. But I think what this is showing is that element of free will mixed with actually, destiny. This is that interplay right here, that sometimes we tend to build up destiny in our heads to be this intense, why should I even journal if I can't write the masterpiece book? Why should I go to the gym just to lose a few pounds if I'm not going to fully become like this healthy guru? And we tend to procrastinate on certain things because we feel like we can't meet the call of destiny. And instead, what this is saying is that life's meant to be the journey. Life's meant to be fun and enjoyed. Yes, we are going to go through moments of suffering, but the moments of suffering are there to highlight the moments of joy and pleasure, and are there to almost like a diamond, are meant to pressurize us to see the meaning and beauty even more in life than we would have otherwise if we hadn't gone through a bout of suffering. And so there is this quality to this of destiny. Following destiny always entails a little bit of suffering. Just like when you think about working out, you're going to hurt when you go to the gym and start a new exercise routine. You're going to have sore muscles. It might involve you having to suffer a little bit and being hungry because you are changing your diet. Or same with journaling. There might be this suffering that comes through, which is, maybe you actually building in that time, having to take that time away from something else, and maybe you're battling a little bit with the guilt that comes from that. Or maybe just in the act of journaling itself, you start to uncover parts of your experience that are painful to come back into context with. And what this is showing is that interacting with destiny at any given time is going to hurt a little bit. But that ultimately we're meant to enjoy that interaction. We're meant to enjoy the process. That we are meant to enjoy the journaling as much as the success comes from the world famous book that we could write, or that going to the gym and simply just getting that feeling, that endorphin rush of just feeling good and feeling empowered in the moment is as important as being able to see yourself physically transformed to where you've lost 20 pounds and can now fit into new clothes, and the confidence that comes with that. That just in the moment, feeling good and empowered and just working out is as important. This is where we get to engage. So our engagement with destiny should, at any given time, make ourselves find the meaning in our day-to-day tasks. And that meaning is meant to help us have fun. It doesn't have to all be this serious, grand design outside of ourselves, or even, when we think about having families, It's the little moments that matter, not yes, ultimately you want to have a healthy, well-adjusted child go out, and we all want to have the wonderful family outings that seem perfect on paper and all of this, but it's the small moments. It's the smile of your child. It's watching them learn something new. It's also what you get a chance to learn in the moment from them. That's the beauty of going through the suffering that it entails raising a child. And so this is where I think, Cancer, you're really being asked with your connection to self is, what part of yourself have you been kind of pushing aside that you need to focus on and you need to just jump into and do, with the full awareness that you have backing by the divine, by spirit, and that you can unlock your greater destiny by simply enjoying the act in the moment. So bringing it back to the present. I'm getting a little bit of this feeling that you guys, the reason why you've been procrastinating on something is because the end goal has seemed daunting, and that maybe you don't feel up to the task. And in reality, you're being told you are, and you're going to learn something amazing about yourself, which is why you're being called to do it, but you're also going to enjoy the process. So start that project, build in that time, start that journaling, go to the gym, and in the moment, enjoy it. Don't focus on the bigger picture, focus on just focusing on it and taking small actions towards it. So don't focus on the end result of getting on the scale every day. If you're trying to lose 20 pounds, focus on, I made it to the gym. What new machine am I going to learn about today? Or having fun with yourself. Okay, maybe I start out and I can only run 1 mile on the treadmill before getting tired and stopping. Can I run 1.5 miles tomorrow? It's just about that kind of engagement. All right, Cancer, I hope that this has been something fun and a point of illumination for you to focus on for the month of July. I hope you also take a look at your spiritual connection and partnership connection readings. And if you'd like to book a personal tarot reading or a one-on-one coaching session, the link to my website is in the description box below. All tarot readings can be completely customizable, so you can actually click on any of the tarot readings and then in the notes just write what you would prefer, and I can go from there. And all one-on-one spiritual coaching sessions are also highly customizable and can include tarot readings, obviously, and anything else that you would find helpful. All right. Bye, Cancers. Have a good July.